Hello everyone, it's James Harrison here from Connective Chiropractic in Basingstoke, and I'm speaking to you on Facebook here. We've got Instagram up already. Hello on Instagram, hello on Facebook. And today I'm going to do some question and answer. I'm going to do a question and answer session. We've got a list of questions already that people have asked us answers for. So we're going to work through that as far as we possibly can. And if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, or you just want to have a general chat, that's okay as well. Feel free, excuse me, voice is going, feel free to write whatever you need to write in the box. Excuse me. This is going to be a long video if I'm already croaking. I'm going to have to get a little drink. Forgive me, I'll be back. Won't be long. There we are. First rule of life, make sure you've got a mug of tea close by. Here we go. Hi there, Mandy. Hope you're well. Subject alert, forgive me for this. That gives us time as well. That's much better. That gives us time to just make sure people are coming on as well, because it's good to be able to do this, and we're still not at time. It's just a few seconds longer, and then we'll start the questions. My mum's joined on Instagram. We'll wave at my mum. Hello, mum. So, we're going to answer some questions. So I'm going to start off by answering some of the questions that have come in by email. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. Hi Phil, hi Richard. Hope you're doing well. Richard is another chiropractor. Fantastic, well at that. So the first question is a wonderful question that's been asked by some of my practice members, so members of my Ultimate Wellbeing community. And it is, how is connective chiropractic surviving at the moment, and can we help? Which I thought was a really lovely question, and I wanted to start with that one because I thought it was a great one while people are starting to figure out what's going on, and hopefully give some people some confidence to ask you a couple of questions. So the answer is we're surviving, hurrah. But in terms of our intention statement, we don't just want to survive, we want to thrive as well. But with all things COVID-19 and coronavirus, you knew it was going to come in at some point. We have to consider it. So we are surviving, which is nice. The governmental schemes that are out there are not as rosy as you would hope, and certainly not as rosy as they've been announced to us as a business. But we will find a way of keeping going, and we will be here to help as much as we possibly can. In terms of our Ultimate Wellbeing community members, at the moment we are asking you that it's just exactly the same. So if we keep going as much as we possibly can at the moment and weather the storm as much as we possibly can, they're talking about turning the tides in the government, I'm saying weather the storm. Keep it going, we will get through it, which is nice. The nice thing is as always, we make sure in our clinic that there's never a hard sell and people are not out of pocket. So if you're paying for things on direct debit or in advance, you will get the treatments that you need. But also later today, I'm really happy to announce that we will be formally opening up our online consultation system. So right now we can't open, not because we're not considered key workers, because you've now been told that we are key workers by statutory instrument, but because our associations and our regulators are suggesting that if we do open, then we actually have to pass quite a significant threshold to confirm that we are fitting our code of practice to do with public safety and patient safety too. So we're not opening just at the moment, which is a little bit frustrating, to be honest. Hi Louisa. So we are doing our best right now to adapt, and the best thing that you can do to help, if you want to help us as a business, is to just go along with us, have a good time with it. We are able to be creative in this period, and if you have any questions, queries, comments, feel free, or suggestions, just let us know, because right now it's all open, which is fantastic. We're trying not to stress back here too much, although my mum's listening on Instagram. Behind the scenes there is a little bit of stressing going on, poor mum. But yeah, so there's a few things going on. Okay. So, can you see us at the clinic is the next question. The answer, I think I've just covered that, is at the moment, no, I'm sorry to say. We can see people at the moment, according to what's going on, if, and it is a big if, there is a significant enough emergency to do so. The issue that we have, if you look on our blog page, is normally for us, and there is a question, what's a chiropractic emergency? And we've got a blog post on it. And what it says on there is normally if something's a real emergency, we're sending people to A&E or their doctors. But we can triage people, we can make that distinction and that discovery, and we can help people to understand what's going on, or give advice or tips or tricks, or non-physical therapeutic additions and approaches to help people through their pain or discomfort. And already I know of lots of people in my patient list who are contacting me saying, look, I've got aches and pains. How do I get out of them? I've got an extra X number of weeks or so. And yesterday on the governmental advice, that's starting to increase out a little bit. So it's going to be a challenge. Just going to check if that's okay before I go to the next question. Can everyone on Facebook hear me okay? We had a bit of a query earlier as to whether the microphone was working properly. Can you hear me? Don't know. Be nice if somebody posts. I know everyone on Instagram's fine because we've had some lovely people talking to us. Hello on there. So what we're going to do in a second is for people who've asked questions, I will go through and answer them if there's anybody who wants to ask a question live. But we're going to go through more ones on email to start off with, and I'm hoping it might provoke a couple of questions or thoughts or comments or queries. So I'm just going to wave at a couple. I like Instagram. You can wave at people. It's like, hello. I quite like it. Just push a button and wave at them. So the next question was, do you offer online appointments? I've answered that. We're going to. So they'll be good, actually. And so it works in the online appointments that we're going to offer are confidential, as you'd expect. I think the platform is encrypted too, so it's just between us. There's a whole host of other things that go on behind the scenes, and I've actually had to take a little bit of extra training this last couple of weeks to try and get it all set up and to make sure that we're doing the best job that we possibly can whilst delivering what we need to deliver. There's lots of issues behind doing things virtually instead of physically. Things like not knowing what's on the other side of the camera. So if you followed one of my Instagram feeds this morning, so James Harrison Wellbeing, I did an Instagram live on there, and the camera just swapped to the other side, and it had all my washing in the background because on the other side of this camera there's my washing at the moment. And I just sort of said, oh, well, you know, that just proves that there is another side of the camera here. So whilst everything looks wonderfully manicured at the moment, the reality is the other side, normal life's going on. And certainly that's an issue in terms of doing online appointments, because you could have a whole host of people behind the scenes and then it's not confidential, and we need to make sure it's confidential. So there's lots of issues like that going on behind the scenes. So anyway, I won't bore you with that. This is about Q&A. How best can we keep in touch was the next question. So this is really with regards to families more than anything else. So right now, with all things coronavirus, there are some issues in the respect that people can't keep in touch. And if you saw James Harrison Wellbeing earlier, you'll note I talked about my thumb. And you might see that there's a big cut on it at the moment. And the reason for this is yesterday I had a bit of a philosophical epiphany. And happened, oh, Lulu's joined, Lulu. So what's happened yesterday is I cut my finger. So I was grating some cheese, as you do, and I grated my finger as part of it. And before then, I was really stressing about everything to do with what was going on in the world and business and the like. And then I was kind of posed with this problem as to whether I should get a plaster or just keep worrying or not. And I stood there watching my thumb bleeding for about 20 seconds, and then made the decision that I was wasting time and I need to get on with life and I need to put a plaster on it. Obvious, right? And yet it took me 20 seconds. Why did it take me 20 seconds? It took me 20 seconds or so because I was too busy in the fluff of everything that was going on with coronavirus and the like, that I completely missed the point that the main point of what's going on with all of this is to preserve lives. And I'm going to add to that also to preserve the quality of lives too. If you can keep yourself away from a virus, great, because then you're going to be able to fire out and do the things that you need to do in the future. So you actually have to preserve your health as well here and look after your family's health and take responsibility. So I realised at that point, actually, no, I'm responsible for lots of people, and whilst I can mope around and do this, that and the other, actually the best thing for me to do is to look after the people who matter most to me. Hence why we're doing a Q&A today, because I wanted to make sure that if you've got any Q&As, questions, sorry, that you can get the answers today in whatever question that you have. I'm going to wave at a few more people. Hi, Simon. We've got more chiropractors joining us. Hello. We've got Jane and we've got Charlotte. Oh, to Charlotte. And Jane as well. Actually, to everyone. That was a bit mean of me. So hi to everyone who's joining. So how can we keep in touch? Well, this is a method. We can, of course, do things virtually. FaceTime, lots of platforms, live calls and the like. In terms of getting the real benefits from health and healing, it needs to be social in some respects. So we're talking about social distancing. What we don't want to do, however, is to become socially distant. And one of the things that I really suggest that people do is I suggest that people talk back. Because the moment you have that interaction and that dialogue is the moment that you can actually perk yourself up and feel that things are doing well. Hi Oliver over there on Instagram. Really lovely to see you. So it's important to get that human interaction at this moment in time so that you can know that the world is going on okay. In terms of your families, there are some other issues. So not only, I don't know if my mum's still listening on Instagram, but she's getting the phone calls of me going, this is what the government's saying and this is what the reality is, stress. The other thing is people are living with each other as well. And when they haven't had to spend 24/7 time with each other, it's tough. And ultimately what you want to do is you want to find a system so that you can get on top of it. You need to all figure out who's the boss, what everyone's role is, how everybody can chip in some way, shape or form, and how, if things do become stressful or tense, how you can get on top of it the best you can. Because those social bits, including the arguments and the hard times, are actually really beneficial to our health. Even the stress, I'm sorry to say it, is actually quite good for us if it is eustress, a good type of stress, as opposed to distress, the bit that makes you go and do silly things. So that's not really what we want to do. But keeping in touch, it's really about doing the things that you need to do to keep that human connection going for as long as you can. And you don't need to cut the thumb in order to realise that. What you need to do is just take little steps, and whatever those little steps are, if you have a degree of overview on them and you're aware that you're doing it, then it can actually come to fruition and be quite positive. So my business coaches said to me last week on Facebook, they said, you've got to ride the crest of the wave, essentially. You've got to be ahead of it. You've got to be open to adapt and all this type of stuff. And I wasn't ready to hear it. And I went, yeah, whatever. It's so easy at this time to do last week. And yeah, whatever. But ultimately, the best thing you can do is to be open to everything. And when the time is right, be prepared to shoot out. So last week I was very stressed. This week I am making something of it. So talking about my thumb, talking today about what's on the other side of the camera, because it's useful for people to know that everybody's in the same boat. We are all in this together. And ultimately, even though I might have a string of letters after my name, there are things that I can help you with in terms of talking to you, as well as from a technical sense too. Everyone's being very quiet. Have I just completely flooded everyone with information? People are just sitting there. I'm loving that people are sitting there and watching and listening, probably taking notes, probably thinking, what's that plant in the background? Maybe not. Anyway, if you want to say hi, please say hi. So we've got more questions, but does anyone else have any questions at the moment? I'm just going to check and see what people are saying. Louisa, hi there. Anybody on Instagram saying anything? Oh, Simon's joined. Hi, Simon. Some lovely people joining today's call. Thank you so much. Sorry, that was shining there. Yes, we've got about 12 million lights on it at the moment. One there. They're all over the place. So for people on Instagram earlier, I had these curtains open. You were seeing my back garden. It was lovely. But with Facebook, the camera doesn't kind of pick it up so well. So poor Instagram's getting this sort of shining orange light going on. But on Facebook, it actually looks quite good. Anyway, enough weird sort of body language and stuff. Let's do some more questions. So somebody asked So last week we did, or I did, a chair exercise routine in this very spot that we put on our Facebook page. And it's elicited a lot of comments, which was really, really, really positive. A lot of people were very appreciative of it, which is good. And the intention of that really was to get people moving as much as they can. Because one of the hardest challenges at this moment in time, when it comes to being locked down, for want of a better expression, is that you can't walk around the office. You can't go make the team a cup of tea every 5 seconds as I bang into the plant. You can't do a lot of the things that you used to be able to do. And so what happens is because you're also there in terms of work-based, work reasons, you'll sit on the sofa for a long period of time, you'll be hammering away at the keyboard, and then you will forget what's going on because you're in your home zone, which is now your work zone. And your work zone is now your home zone. And so you can quite easily spend the whole of the day sitting in the same space on the sofa, which then that can start to have an impact in terms of how your sofa support. It can also impact how you actually get on and do stuff in everyday life. So people are asking me the question as to how else can you exercise your body, especially if you've got low back issues or if you've got other mechanical or body issues to keep things going for longer. Now there is a lot of content already on our blog page, so I'm going to add to that over the next couple of weeks. So I don't want to give everybody everything right now because the time, I'm going to sound like the government here, there is a time for everything and the time for that is not now. But there is a time for more exercise than I've given at the moment. And certainly standing up exercises have come up in the questions. Can we have some which are standing up? Now I deliberately did some on the chair the other day because I wanted all people of all ages and capabilities to be able to do some motion and movement. But hi Terry. Ultimately, there are times when you actually want to get up, and for your low back, actually getting up and out of the chair is quite a big motion and movement, but one that is important. So we'll kind of work with some of these. Now I am going to put on an exercise routine that is not mine later on Facebook. It might be tomorrow, but it might be later on today. It's actually an NHS routine. But I actually think it's quite a lovely little routine and it's easy to do at home. So we're going to pop that onto the clinic page. Maybe in a blog, maybe just popped up. So you've got that. So that is coming. So never fear. The other question that came up was also about neck stretches. I am going to do a video on neck stretches over the next couple of weeks as well, because it's really important just to get things stretched out. But I'm going to do some today with you as well. Again, if you've got any questions, you're more than welcome to ask me. Now, the key reason why neck stretches are important is because when things are more stressful, when you're grinding your teeth, when you are grinding your teeth, when you are going every 5 seconds because of changes in circumstances, when you're not sleeping as well, then what you're going to find is that things feel naturally tighter. These muscles, your accessory muscles, will start to tighten. It's a bit like if you're a robin, essentially. I don't know if you've seen robins in the garden or whatever. If it feels under attack, it comes out, its shoulders come up, and it kind of just fluffs itself out. We're the same. If we've come under threat or we're stressed or anxious, we naturally bring our shoulders up. It's the reason why when you're stressed you say, oh, I need to put my shoulders down. I feel like they're up towards my ears. It just feels really crunched and a little bit uncomfortable. So what we want to do with neck stretches is we want to actually encourage our neck to move, yes. But we actually want to take some of the pressure out of these muscles, the accessory muscles and some of the neck muscles that go from the shoulders up to the back of the head. And we want to mobilise the shoulders, the head, the neck, everything as much as we can. Because not only is motion and movement a good thing to be doing in general at this moment in time when we're being a little bit more sedentary, but also what we want to do is relieve some of those pressures so that the biomechanics starts to work more in our favour. Now that sounded very complicated, but what I mean by that essentially is that by taking some of the pressure out of some of those muscles, there's less pull, for want of a better word, on some of the more sort of central structures. So things like your skull, the back of your head, for example. That in turn can affect how things start to function. I could go into a whole lot more information on that, but already I'm seeing people going on and off these videos. I think I'm giving a bit too much, but but thank you for everyone who's sticking with us at this moment in time. But certainly that's what you want to do. So good stretches to start you off, and then we'll do some more stretching later. And another video is to bring your ear to your shoulder to start off with. Now you will see people putting their hand over and support the head. They are not pushing the head further. They're just sort of stabilising, maybe putting a little bit of weight in, but nothing too much more than that, please. We don't want to create injuries in this lockdown period, because then that's not helping the NHS or us or anybody for that matter. But a little stretch. I tend to find that if you pop your hand down the leg of a chair or hold it down a little bit before you stretch across, so you're stretching across that area, it can help give you a little bit of an extra stretch. And of course we can then not pull it, but just rest a hand on it if you want to. You don't have to, you can get just as much of a nice stretch in there. Now, that stretches across here, but if you want to go into this upper back and upper shoulder area, from that area you can roll your head forward slightly. And you'll feel it start to pull a little bit lower down or towards the back. That's quite a good little extra stretch to be doing at this moment in time. So ear to your shoulder, then just roll it forward. That's a good first stretch. The other thing is you can actually just bring your head back and you can bring it forward. You can use your hands in a bit of a sort of locked position, and you can push back and forward at this point if you want to. So in other words, I'm going to push back into my hands and I'm going to push forward into my hands. So you're creating a bit of resistance. You can do it in these positions as well. But again, you don't want to hurt yourself. So do it gently, please. That was to Instagram, so I'm going to do it to Facebook. Do it gently, please. Thank you. So you want to just keep things going. Now, old-fashioned school advice here was to roll your neck all the way around. And you might remember doing that. Please don't do that. The evidence has actually suggested that you're not getting a very good stretch by doing that. And there was a thought at one point that you could do some damage by doing that. I'm not seeing anything to say that's really the most substantiated in terms of the evidence. But that might just be that I've not seen it. But certainly you'll get a better quality stretch by focusing on muscle groups in general, or in a general sort of motion, rather than creating a real complex motion or movement. There is some studies and evidence out there to suggest, however, that functional motion, functional exercises, so things like warming up, so perhaps doing a little jog on the spot or something in your front living room, can actually be very beneficial in general, as opposed to doing lots of static stretches and the like. So okay, there is an argument the other way, but what you really want to do here, I'd say, is just do some gentle exercises. We can get lost in the nuances another time perhaps. But yeah, so to the side, forward, back. That's a great start. All of those shoulder exercises that I did in the chair routine the other day, things like stretching out, can't do it because of the plants today, stretching forward, and the like. Do you remember come here, my pretties? Yeah, these are all good for those shoulder muscles too. So you can do little things, you can vary it up if you want to. The other thing to think about is sleep posture, and certainly if you've adopted a bad sleep posture routine, then you'll find your neck feels a little bit more tense. And right now with stressing, and I'll say this from my own experience, with stressing at this moment in time, you'll be tossing and turning a lot more than you would normally. And it will mean that you're not sleeping in your pillows properly. So make sure the pillow height is right. I believe there's some posts on our blog about that. So I want to check. If not, we'll do a video over the next couple of days as well, just to confirm all of that as well, so you know whether your head height is right. Okay, any questions? Is everyone okay? Everyone's very quiet. I'm seeing lots of people watching though. Might be in the background for some people, but this is good. I'm okay with this. You all okay? Give me a thumbs up or something if you're okay and you're watching. Go on. Everyone's quiet. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next question. How best to cope with solitude was the next question. Really good questions coming up from everybody. Thank you again if you've pre-emailed me. So solitude is a good thing for some people, and it's not a good thing for others. This is a question really as to whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. If you're an introvert, you'll actually build your energy up with a bit of you time, fencing it off a little bit from the world. And actually that's quite a good thing if you're an introvert, to have a bit of social isolation, because it gives you an excuse to do the thing that builds you up. If you're an extrovert, then it's the exact opposite. Because you need to be around people, you need to be social in order to boost your energy up in some way, shape or form, or at least you need to be in those scenarios where you can get that. This is where these type of things, so Facebook Lives, are really beneficial. So I'm surprised that we haven't had lots of people nattering. It's a confidence thing, I suspect, because normally when that happens, you can tell there's some introverts in the group, when things are quiet, that is. So if this is a break opportunity for you, you want to catch up and get some extra information, or you just don't feel terribly 100% okay, that's fine. But if you want to message me back, my email is james@connectivechiropractic.co.uk. All the contact details are on connectivechiropractic.co.uk's website, but you're more than welcome to natter to me one-on-one if you like. I've realised I've answered some of these questions, so I've got my questions just down here. Thumbs up to Oliver. Thank you, Oliver. Oh. So that's Oliver, you're more likely, according to what I just said, you're more likely to be an extrovert. Don't know. What do you think? Don't know. I wouldn't want to say either. But I certainly think it's nice to get a little bit of interaction on these type of things. So if you do want to comment, you're more than welcome to. Thank you so much, Oliver. The thing that I will say is healthcare is biopsychosocial. You've heard me talk about this many a time. Yup, Oliver says. Yup, I like it. Do you remember that old yogurt drink? Yup. Just come into my head. Bizarre. I remember that. I used to like it when I was little. Probably really sugary now. Just misread that. I thought you said yup. Oh, there we are. Thanks, Oliver. Marta's joined. Hi, Marta. Where was I? So yes, healthcare is biopsychosocial. So there's a biological element, there's a psychological element, and there's a social element. So the physical element of healthcare, so the bits that we were talking about, stretches and exercises and what gets you going the best you can, that is certainly where chiropractic tends to dwell as well. That's the physical side. The psychological side is about mental health. But it's more than that. It's also about our relationship with the physical to our emotions and how we start to feel. So last week for me, that was the bit that I needed most care with, because I was stressing about my business, I was stressing about everything going on, stressing, what's going to happen if? Lots of what if questions, not really the most helpful. That was my psychological health under attack, really. So it's good to get on top of that, get that little bit of overview. The social side of it is the bit that social distancing threatens. So lockdown threatens the physical side. We're closed, for example. The mental health side is the stressing, the fretting. Oh, I need to watch the news every 5 seconds. Oh, is this theory right? Is this theory right? Is this not right? The social side is about social distancing. So you can see how this this coronavirus stuff has the potential to really reduce our health if we let it. That's without the virus even being around us. So we've got to be careful. The social bit is about our connections with not just each other, but also to our environment. And it really goes into its widest sense there. So if you are a social hermit, but you've got a religion, that belief can be part of that social side, in my opinion, in my definition of it at least. It can also be the book that you're reading, because you've got some form of connection there, that voice, that mediator through that book that gives you some extra connection. It's great. Facebook, Instagram. This is a way of trying to boost and build your social health. So even if you're sitting at home and you haven't even got dressed yet, it's almost midday, but if you haven't even got dressed yet and you're thinking, oh, I'm feeling really slovenly, the chances are you sitting here, even if you're not interacting, you're picking, excuse me, my stomach's really going for it today, you're picking up some vibes from me. You're picking up some information, some content and the like, and what's happening from that is that you will actually give yourself some little extra bonus points on that social side. It's almost a little bit like, I don't know if they used to play the game The Sims. It was like a computer game where you had like little little people that you could kind of build and control, and you could get them a job, or you can make them fall in love, or you can do lots of weird and wonderful things. But on that, for everything that you did, you had little points. So you had like food points. It was like a Tamagotchi almost. I don't know if you remember those, or a little pet, virtual pet. I'm knocking into one of these plants. It's this one. So, you know, as things start to, I'm just going to wave to a couple of people on there. So it's so as things start to improve, you get extra points for what's going on, or if you're depleted in something, then you would get negative points. So if you are sitting in a room all the time, your social points would go down, and then suddenly you'd start to feel tired or lethargic, or your sim would go off and fall out with themselves, or you'd do something, you know, like that. The same goes for us. The designers of that game were quite savvy in the respect that it is like that for us. If you have a picture in the room, it can brighten you up. It can boost your connection, both physical, mental, and social. It's really important to look at all of these things. So that doesn't mean put pictures all over your wall, because it can have the opposite effect. But you need to do the thing that works for you best on that level. Lots of questions come from the emails, but is there anything that people want answered at the moment on this call? Ashton Taylor Limited joined. Hello. Lorem UK joined, and Kitty's joined as well. Hi, Kitty. Kitty was on the call earlier on James Harrison Wellbeing on Instagram. Hi, Kitty. Taking a little bit of a break here. This is a longish video, so I'm just checking everyone's okay. Nobody's got any big burning questions. I've got more questions down here, but I'm going to skip through a couple. I'm going to do them quite briefly, and then I'm going to just answer the last one, which is, I think, very relevant for now. So dietary tips for good health was the question. We'll cover this in a bigger video another time. Balanced diet, one with lots of nutrients, vitamins, minerals. Think about your water levels as well. Make sure you don't have too much of any one thing or not enough of something. That'll be my simple advice. We can go into that in more detail another time. Forgive me for the person who asked that question. I promise you I will do more on that later. Somebody asked, do you offer steroid injections at Connective Chiropractic? The answer is no. Just straightforward no. Why? Because I was going to keep this really simple, but because in general my viewpoint is if I can do it by my hands, or if we can do it more naturally without resorting to drugs, injections or surgery, that's where my territory is. Most things with health and healing, you want to start off on the lightest level. So doing something more manual, for example, like going to see a chiropractor, or perhaps there are online consultations, as we were talking about earlier, that can help. Then you want to go to your drugs if that doesn't work. Then you want to go to your more surgical interventions from there. You don't really want to mix those around too much, although in common day life people do, and we're trained on, we're educated to mix them around. It's normally best, and all the advice, all this research out there suggests it's good to start off with the most conservative care and then increase up. And that's how we see it. So, and it's not something that I actually would want to do in my clinic if we were open. But there are some great brands. So for that question, I will respond back to you and give you a link and refer you out if you want that. There's lots that chiropractic can do, and I would advise booking in for an online consultation too, because a lot can be done without a physical intervention by tapping in to the psychosocial element. And because on the back of that psychosocial element, there's a whole system within your body, the neurological system, that you can kind of tap into. It's a little bit more out there, but you can kind of get to bits. Anyway, I'll leave that one there for now. Kitty's rejoined. Hi, Kitty. She's just gone. Kitty, hello. Kitty, goodbye. The thing that I really want to focus on, this is the last question, unless people ask me some more. I'm just going to check there's no more questions. And that is about tips for breathing. So for people who are struggling because of anxiety or asthma, or perhaps even they've got COVID-19 and they want some tips for breathing. Now, I am, for obvious reasons, going to do a video on this on its own. I think it's a great topic, and it's something that chiropractors can definitely help with, as much as physios or osteopaths, or I've got lost in that word there. So at this time, I think we all have a role to play in this. So the first thing, if you're struggling to breathe, is to try and breathe. That's my first step. Try and get a deep breath in and out. If it's starting to feel sore, figure out, just as a general self-check really, whether it's something you can deal with yourself or whether you need professional help. This is where the online consultations may come in. It might be where you want to go to your GP, but right at the moment, online is what I would suggest, and most GPs are doing online as well, to start off with, to triage people into knowing exactly how best to help. So is it something we can help with? Is it something that you need to do yourself? If it is something that professionals need to help with, then get in contact with them, book an appointment. If you want to start off with things, then you want to think about what could be irritating your breathing and your lungs. So virus is one thing. Yes, if you've got that, you want to be doing everything you can to keep the virus at bay. That includes things like vitamin C and get good food, nutrition, all the things we've discussed already. It's not only that. It can include also coming to initial consultation with me over online and getting a few non-therapeutic things. It could be that. You're more than welcome to if you want to online. There's no problem. But it's not going to be the only thing. And self-isolation is the thing that people talk about in terms of getting rid of it, getting over it, and the like, and stopping it spread a little bit. So I'm going to leave that to one side. But some tips for you if you're struggling to breathe. Think about the air quality, first of all. Have you had the windows closed for the last 3 weeks and lots of cleaning or whatever, and it's just hot and stuffy and whatever? Open the windows. Get the air quality to change. Think about your stress level. If stress and anxiety is tightening everything up, you want to loosen the things off. You want to keep things feeling fresher for longer. The other thing is mindfulness. Mindfulness is a great way of combating stress. And the reason why I use mindfulness as part of my advice is it will also start to regulate your breathing. Breathing, there's 2 elements to breathing. One of those elements is conscious. So if I tell you to think about your breathing right now, you'll start to use some muscles that are your conscious muscles that tell you whether you're breathing or not. So me getting out of breath, it's conscious, it's gone into my brain. My brain knows that something is going on in terms of my breathing, and it creates that change. But there's also an autonomic side of breathing, something that happens naturally without us having to think through things. And with this, it is by function and how we naturally are programmed to develop. But it can get lost, it can lose its rhythm. And when we're stressed or anxious or there's lots going on in our consciousness, that can start to change. So focusing in on our breathing, even if it's shallower breaths, can be really, really beneficial. Hi Sue. So just focusing in on breathing in and out, in and out. And there are guidelines for that, and we'll again do that in a video. Zone. Mindfulness is a huge thing. In fact, we might even invite a couple of people on to talk about mindfulness because it is a really big topic, but it is really beneficial. From a physical perspective too, I always think your ribs are a little bit like jellyfish. They sort of move like this. I'm sorry, Mr. Plant, I'm going to have to move. So they're like a jellyfish. So they move up and out. So as we breathe, our ribs go up and out or down and in. So whichever way we're doing it. And by breathing, we're actually starting to stretch and relax some of those muscles in between the ribs. And the hope is here, by breathing in and out and being more mindful of our breath, is you can start to relax some of those muscles and things start to naturally start to chill out a bit more. But what you can also do is actually move. So we're going right back to the start of this video again when we talked about movement being a good thing. And if you move from side to side, forward and back, you may find that it helps to relieve it a little bit. You might find a bit of warmth helps. You might find a bit of cold helps, depending on what's going on in your circumstance. Give it a try and see what's going on. But if you're moving to the side and you're starting to feel that things are feeling quite nasty, then that's when you might want to get some professional help. And of course, I can help in terms of triaging that and working out whether you need to self-isolate, go to the GP, whether we can do things online and the like. So that's that side of things. The other thing that I will say when we're talking about lungs and breathing and ribs in general, that is different from what the NHS is saying right now, and I say this very carefully, is that there's a lot contained organ-wise in that rib cage. So whilst we are focusing so much on COVID-19 right now, don't be fooled in thinking that if you've got aches and pains or issues, it's automatically breathing issues related to COVID-19. It can be other things. It can be musculoskeletal. It could be a heart issue. It could be digestive issues. It could be lots of different things. So it's sometimes difficult to just automatically presume. And if you're unsure, again, book in for that online consultation with me, because we can give some tips and tricks and figure it out to the best that we can. I think that's enough for this video. Unless we've got any extra questions, I certainly need another slurp of my tea. So I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to say whether they're happy, healthy and well, whether they've got any other questions for me. This is now cold tea, but we're going to have a nice drink on this huge, wonderful mug of tea. Everyone okay? I'm having a drink now. I don't normally drink in front of my customers and patients or on this, so it's quite unusual for me to have a drink around. Everyone okay? Right, okay. So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask me. So you can email me at james@connectivechiropractic.co.uk, or you can give me a call if you know my number. If you don't know my number and you want to give me a call or a text, go onto the Connective Chiropractic website, connectivechiropractic.co.uk, and click on the contact button and you can get it on there. It's been an absolute pleasure to go through this. We will do more of these live videos as we're going through the lockdown periods. I can't say strongly enough, you'll get more out of it as much as you contribute. So if you do want to email me, feel free to do so. Right now, I'm not altogether responding as quickly as I would like, because there's lots of business stuff going on behind the scenes, as I think I mentioned earlier. But I will try and respond to everybody in some way, shape or form. So not if by a physical email, you'll get it on a live video and an answer and a reply. I'm about on top of it at the moment, to be honest. So it's but if you do email me and you don't get a response straight away, don't panic. I will get back in contact as soon as I can. Love to know what you thought about this video, this live, apart from it being long. It has been long. It's almost 45 minutes, but I think that's long enough, don't you? I do. So I hope you're all having a great day. I hope things go well for you. And if I can help it in any way, shape or form, do let me know. And if you're a patient of mine, a customer of mine at Connective Chiropractic, there will be an email going out soon about those online consultations. You can actually already book them online. We've opened up our online booking form again to embody them. Not entirely sure how all the ins and outs are working in terms of booking, but we've got the bookings already on there. We'll see how things go, and yeah, you can prepay online even if needs be as well. It's quite spectacular what's on there. So do have a look on there. My mum has responded and said, keep positive. And I think that's not just for me, that's also for you too, Mum. And also for everyone else, it's really good advice at the moment. It's difficult. There are different challenges for different people as well. So, but as I mentioned earlier with my thumb as the example, business issues are one thing, or work issues are one thing, but actually you've got to look also at your health, your personal circumstances, and try not to let things get too bad. But yes, your support networks. My mum is absolutely amazing for this with me. It's so important right now not to burn bridges, to keep them going, to keep that social connection as much as you can, because yeah, it is a stressful time and everyone's going through something in some way, shape or form. Thank you too, Sue. Right, I'm going to disappear now. I hope you have a great rest of the day. I'm going to say goodbye to Facebook first, and then we'll say goodbye on Instagram. See you soon, Facebook.